Hello and welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes and it's me and Aprylete today, or Aprylete and me. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's our day. I can't wait for Thursdays so I can see your beautiful face.
Oh, you're sweet. Thank you. What's this one's called?
With this hair right here. So
Uh-huh.
she is old, and we gonna call her Creeder girl.
What does that mean, Aprylete Russell?
No, literally, I think it's called Creeder girl. Like this is her name, Creeder girl, but
Creed
she's
girl.
old.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. 'Cause she's old. Okay.
Yeah.
I have been watching Miss Pat, the TV show on the Miss Pat show on BET
Hmm.
Plus. It's a bit strong for me because that language I'm not used to, on television or in my house. But I gotta tell you, oh God, what is her name now? I can't remember. But the woman who plays her sister, Miss
Hmm.
Pat's sister, she is the star for me. Um, she's a former real world
I
star.
I know exactly who you're talking
Yeah,
about.
and people
Her
will
name
know.
starts with a T.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. She is a star, and she is the highlight for me on Miss Pat. But her character does all kinds of wigs and stuff, and they each have names, and then
You
that's a
gotta
part of
name
it.
your girls. You gotta name the
Tammy
girls.
Roman, thank you, Yolanda.
Yep.
Tammy Roman. She's come a mighty long way, and she is incredible. I just
Wow.
absolutely adore her, and her character, and she's got great chemistry with everybody on the show. But she is really great, and her character, she do hair it is a part
Switches
of it.
out her
Yeah,
hair.
yeah, yeah. So, um, you had some travel challenges this week.
I did. I was coming back from LA, and I was flying this particular airline, and I got delayed several times. And then as soon as I touched down to Dallas, it was another issue. So we had to stay on the plane for about an hour and 30 minutes. So I didn't really get in the house to 1:30 a.m. So it's just been a nightmare, to be honest. Traveling is not like it used to be.
Right?
It
Yeah.
seems like after the pandemic, everything has just been kind of chaotic.
It's a challenge, and Tom used to tell us that the warmer it gets, the more challenging
Mm.
travel is. It's not the winter weather so much as the storms and the summer weather. And Yolanda had the same thing coming back from Vegas last week. They had to land like in Amarillo, I
Oh,
believe,
wow.
and then once they got them back up in the air, they landed in Dallas Fort Worth, and then they didn't have a gate that was open, so they had to wait. I think it
Same
was a
last
better
night.
part of an hour
Yeah,
for a gate agent to come and open things up for them. It's
same happened last night. No gate was available for us, so we sat on the, I guess,
So
the
you would
track.
think that if they know the planes are in the air and that they're coming, someone would be just sitting there as if they're
Yeah,
waiting for somebody to fly in and come in and throw the lights on, unlock the door, pull
clearly
the ramp.
clearly no coordination. No call me, beat me on the other side.
Right, right.
Yeah.
This is 50999. We need you to come open up the ramp so that our people can get off this plane. They've been on here long enough. 99 over.
Right. They were not prepared, clearly.
That is so bizarre. That just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand. But if somebody understands, let us know
Let us know, please.
try to make us understand how this works, because it does not work for the customer who is paid
Mm-mm.
to be in this sardine can, all up on each other
Come on
for
now.
the better part of hours. In your case, several hours. Traveling from Los Angeles to
Yes,
Love
and that's
Field.
already about 2 hour, 40-minute flight. So it's not
Yeah.
like a short flight. So I was already, ready to stretch these legs out and get to my destination.
Right, and that's the other thing. You can't get up. We're on a live taxiway, so you can't.
Exactly.
It's like, dudes,
Seatbelts buckled. So now we're, just
yeah.
stuck here.
And
But
we're
I
not
did
serving any drinks, so you don't have to go to the
nothing.
bathroom.
Nothing, but I did meet a cute little doggy that reminded me of my Goody Daddy. So, with that being said, like the dog kept me company. The dog name was Vegas, and she was so adorable.
Is she a service pet?
No, she wasn't a service pet. She was 12. She was a toy poodle, just like Gucci. Gucci's
Oh,
11. So they were literally like twins. And I had to ask, I said, well, she's from Molly litter. So Gucci's mom, his dog mom, name is Molly. And I
oh,
just wanted to make sure that they weren't from the same litter because they literally look identical.
wow. Just the coloring is
Yeah.
different.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And did the little girl know if she
Oh,
was?
no, she didn't know, and then she got her in Vegas, so I was just like, "Probably not," but, yeah, she was such a cute little puppy, so well, not even a
Oh,
puppy, a dog, because she was
yeah.
12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's older than you and me together.
A
So
whole senior.
yeah, yeah, she is ready to put in her retirement, I think, by this time. So Aprilette, let's talk about the What You Need to Know newsletter.
Let's get
This is
into it.
our effort to super serve the African American community. We inform and empower people with our stories that pertain to Black folks, that we think stories that Black folks would like to read. And your wheelhouse, if you will, is mental health and wellness as our contributor. And just want you to tell us about the state of Georgia's efforts to create a multi-$100,000 grant program to support mental health programs for military service members, veterans, and their families. How does
Yes.
that work?
Which is very progressive, which I am,
Mm,
happy that this bill was signed by Governor Brian Kemp earlier this week on Tuesday. So pretty much the bill is going to be a grant for nonprofit groups that provide mental health and addiction services to military personnel, their family, and active duty military people.
mhm,
So at the end of the day, when it comes to the grant, the applicant must show that there is evidence-based practices. They train their staff members to understand military and they connect their clients to other mental health services upon discharge. And also to get the funding, the groups have to be in a 50-mile radius of the military base. And in Georgia, there is actually 13 active military duty. There's 13 active military bases in Georgia, and then
wow.
there are more than 88,000 active and reserve military personnel. So these nonprofits that actually help the military, they're going to be helping a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so with this grant, they're taking applications. They'll be available soon, and it's $750,000.
Yeah, that's nice.
Really nice.
That's a nice chunk of change there, Governor Kemp, for you to
Yeah,
do that. Let me ask you this: you said it's for active military veterans and their
and their
families.
families.
They can take
Hmm.
advantage of this as well. Now,
Yes.
what if someone hears this story and says, "Well, we don't have much going on here. What do you say we, as a veteran, what do you say we pack up and move to Georgia?" With
You know, to be honest, I mean, if you want to move to Georgia, hey, be all. However, the VA, if I don't know if you guys may remember, but in January, the VA passed a
right.
bill actually that veterans, family members, and active duty, they can now get treatment and
Hmm.
maybe reimbursed in transportation costs up to 30-day inpatient, 90-day outpatient at a VA facility, or they will get reimbursed if they go to a facility that is not VA approved,
Hmm.
if they're going through any type of a mental health crisis. So you don't have to necessarily move to Georgia. This will be good for the nonprofits that
Right.
may are looking for funding that are helping military, folks. However, again, like I said, the VA just that was passed in January, so that's all through the
Hmm.
states. Hmm.
Nice. That's really nice. And I hope that even with that umbrella of all VA, that the individual states will have programs like that individually. I said individual twice, but for the individual states that are
Hmm.
open for business in terms of helping their veterans and their
No,
active
absolutely.
military. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a community that sometimes gets overlooked when it comes to
Hmm.
mental health challenges, and because like how we've already discussed with the wounds not being physical,
Right.
a lot of people overlook them,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of stigma that comes to mental health in general, but mental health with military as well, because in the military, no feelings involved. You have to be stern, so there's a lot of stigma with that as well. But I think this is great, and I think that if there's any nonprofits out there that are looking for funding that actually work with military service
Hmm.
members, this will be amazing to apply for
Yeah.
this grant and get some money to help with the funding and everything.
Absolutely. And especially when you think about There are areas where there are pockets of military action, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily called a war, like now they call it the Afghan War, but there have been places where there have been skirmishes where the America has gone, American soldiers and Navy and what have you have gone to fight. And to preserve democracy and justice in the American
Mm-hmm.
way, whatever it is. And they may not be recognized as real fights, as real wars,
Mm-hmm.
but it's good to know that no matter what you did and where you went, they're recognizing that there is some PTSD that is
Yeah.
possible, that there are
Yeah.
some military mental wounds that
Yes.
may result from
Mental
this.
wounds. Absolutely. Mental wounds.
Wow. Good on them. Good, good, good. Well, I love when you give us the stories on mental health and wellness. It's so necessary and so vital. I just did a story today on Brittany Griner, and
Mm-hmm.
she was talking. This was her first press set with media from all over the world, I
Mm.
guess, at the Phoenix Mercury site. And she was talking about her mindset and what kept her going
Mm.
while there. And that too, and one of the first things they did with her is schedule her with an appointment when she was in San Antonio for the physical. She also had appointments with psychiatrists
Yeah,
and
good.
psychologists. Yeah,
Good.
and that definitely is a part of the recovery for not
Yeah.
only if you served war, but if you served the United States by being a, a prisoner
Yeah.
in a country like Russia and not under the best circumstances. This is something that definitely needs to happen. And
Absolutely.
she
Take
was
a
very
mental toll.
emotional,
Yeah.
but it was very cool to see her talk about it and what her plans are in terms of those who are being captured and held all over the world. And
Mm.
so she's like, we're not forgetting there will be no man, no woman left behind
Come on
as
now.
far. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Life changing. Life
Right.
changing.
Yeah, absolutely. In today's newsletter, we talk about the Supreme Court justice. I swear, the Supreme Court has a manner of thinking, and they rest above the rest
Absolutely.
of the governmental branches, above the executive or the White House, above the legislative, which is the House and the Senate, and definitely above the rest of us. And so they don't feel as though they have to answer to anyone. And this is seemingly what the Chief Justice, John
Mm-hmm.
Roberts, told the Senator, Richard Durbin of Illinois, no, I'm not coming to testify before Congress. That we don't have to tell you anything, and we're cool with the fact that whatever they think they want to tell us in terms of
They're okay
relationships,
with it.
yeah, yeah, and no more, no less than in the other federal judgeships. But people have questions, and
Yeah.
especially of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, as well as Neil Gorsuch, who was the first. Thomas went back to the Bush administration, but Gorsuch was the first Supreme Court justice who was nominated and put in place by Donald Trump. This was the position that Barack Obama had hoped to fill
Mm.
after the death of Supreme Court Justice Scalia, I believe.
Okay.
And even though there was 10 months before the President Obama would leave the White House, that son of a gun from Kentucky would not allow them to bring and allow the president to bring his nominee, who turns out to be our current Attorney General, not
Wow.
allow him to be brought up and to be given the opportunity to fill this judgeship on the Supreme Court. So all of that to say that we have an older justice,
Mm-hmm.
Clarence Thomas, who's been there 30 years, and we have a younger justice who has been there for a little less time, since 2017 maybe.
Okay.
That it doesn't matter, that they are doing these deals with people who have done business before the court. That's a major no-no. You
Yeah.
can't do that. Harlan Crow, who is the man who is a longtime family friend of Clarence Thomas, has taken him on expensive trips on
Yeah.
yachts to private island resorts.
Gifts and everything. I read in the newsletter, like gifts and all of
Yeah,
these things that they don't want to be accountable for.
So check this out. Now, and I didn't even put this in the story, and I don't know why I didn't, but one of the things that Crow did was to buy Clarence Thomas's mama's house so that they could turn it into a museum.
Wow. Like,
so you don't think that if he comes before your court and you say, we haven't done any business, well, if you're not going to tell us about it, why should we trust you? But and this is also the case with Neil Gorsuch. He sold a almost $2 million piece of property to the head of a law firm that has brought over 20 cases before the Supreme Court.
That's, you know, because it's seeming a little unethical to me, but who am I?
Well, you are a person that should be able to call them on their BS. And that really is what it is. I mean, they have to be held responsible.
Absolutely.
They have to someone, and it's to the people. And who's to say that all of the things that they have done, all of the cases that they have not been related to somebody they know, or, you know,
some
a
type of
handshake
payola
deal.
type of thing. Yeah. So with that being said, since this is the Supreme Court, which is above all,
well, that's the way they like to see it. It's supposed to be, you know, each
but
branch is equal, right?
But so since they're seeing it this way and they're playing it this way, what is in place? So I read something about May 2nd. There's a hearing.
Yeah.
Okay. So
so they're going to have this hearing to examine what he called the common sense proposals to hold Supreme Court justices to the same ethical standards as the rest of the federal judiciary.
As they should.
Right.
It shouldn't even be. It's crazy that there has to be a hearing to be held. There shouldn't even be a hearing to be held because it should be held at the same standard of across the board.
So they're calling them and saying, and Chief Justice Roberts says, we're not going to come. We're not going to show up. And you know, we're good. We're holding them to standards, and I'm using air quotes, but not necessarily the standards that everybody thinks that they should use. And especially if you stand as someone who doesn't necessarily agree with the rulings of these particular men and their conservative rulings, because they are hardcore conservatives, then you really want them to make it known what their dealings are, who they're married to, and who their wives are. In Thomas's case, who his wife was getting paid by, and what this has to do with the rulings as you hold them, as you write them out and you present it to the country, and what a difference this can make. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all falls out. Somebody is going to get caught up in this and not have to answer, but we'll deal with that as it happens, especially next week when this comes before the United States Senate and the Senate Judiciary Committee. Could we be seeing the end of the Ukrainian war, the war that Russia has called and has structured against the country of Ukraine? Perhaps because an ally of the Russians is Xi Jinping, who is the head of China, and he had a phone call with the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, and they said lasted for nearly an hour, seemingly a significant development in efforts to resolve the war. That could be seen as a good sign, or it could be seen as, you know, trying to call off some of the pressure on Russia, and you know, they're trying to kind of, you know, push back on a lot of the countries that are against Russia in this war of incursion. So this will be something to watch. It was reportedly said in Beijing intends to send an envoy to Kyiv to discuss a political settlement of the war. So keep your
Okay.
eyes on that. Maybe this war that's been going on far too long and for over a year will be coming to a close.
Maybe
Um,
we'll see some gas prices go down if it,
well, you kind of have, but it doesn't have so much to do with the war
Mm.
as now the gas companies still feel they have us over a barrel, if you will. And
Speaking about gas companies, I'm so sorry. When I was in LA, gas is
how
literally
much was it?
$6.
Yeah.
And then when I was filling up the tank, they don't one of the gas stations I was at does not have like a stopper, kind of like that little kickstand where it will stop. So I was just holding and I'm looking like I know.
Wow,
Yeah, it
for $6 a gallon, they should have a goober come out from Andy Griffith's show
absolutely.
and put that in for you.
And so I have to sit there and hold my and pump the gas, and it's just the going and going and going. And I'm just like, hold up, wait a minute, because the
Yeah.
numbers was just getting so high.
Well,
But
I gotta tell you,
yeah,
it has
six
gone
bucks.
down here in Dallas Fort Worth. It dropped like 30 or 40 cents at some
Okay.
gas stations. I paid $3.25 the other day. I was really happy.
Woo.
But we'll talk about the gas prices. That brings us to the end of our discussion about the What You Need to Know newsletter. I also ask you to check out our affiliation with Black Health Matters. And today we're talking about oral cancers of the
Mm.
mouth, and what you should know about that. Thank you for subscribing to the newsletter. If you don't, please go to SybilWilkes.com and give us your name and your email address, and we'll have it in your email box first thing Monday through Friday morning. And of course, we discuss these things later on in the day on It's Sybil, and really good stories that we have in the newsletter.
It
And as
is.
you heard us talk about a few of them. All right, so let us move to the What's Really Going On section. Today, I don't know if you've ever participated in this as a kid. Today is Take Your Child to Work Day.
Mhm.
Did you ever do that?
I did. My stepmother she was a principal before she retired, and I used to go to work with her all the time, especially in the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So it was kind of like I had to go to school, but
Right.
yeah, I went to work with her all the time.
So my mom worked in Chicago Public Schools, and I would go to school with her. As a matter of fact, I was a part of the Head Start programs that my
Okay.
mom started in Chicago, and so I was a Head Start kid. But this is having to do with take your child. They used to call it take your daughter to work, and now to make things equal, they take your
Boys got to
child.
come too.
Right. Designed to encourage learning and help children explore what is possible in their work futures, in their work lives. So, my question for today's What's Really Going On question is, if you could go back to your childhood, who's the famous adult you would like to accompany to work?
Mm,
Like to learn what they did as a possibility of you were a broadcaster.
that's a good
You
question.
and I'll say you are a broadcaster. So maybe there was a famous broadcaster that you would love to have gone to work with on that day. There were kids at the White House today who are part of the press corps, who are part of Secret Service, who were asking questions of President Biden and what have you. And so the question for everyone, including you, Aprylete, is
Mm.
if you were to take yourself back to your childhood, who would be the famous adult you would like to accompany to work?
You answer the question first because I
Okay,
have to
okay,
think.
okay. So mine would be Magic Johnson.
Okay. Why
And
magic?
not Magic the basketball player, Magic the businessman, because I think Magic Johnson has what I dream as my dream job. This is what I long aspired, and that was management or ownership of a professional team. He is part of the management of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now he is a part of the consortium of people who have purchased the Washington Commanders. That really is
Mm,
my dream, to own a football team.
come
And he used to
on.
be a part of the Los Angeles Lakers. So he's got, the big three
Mhm.
there under his belt. I think the only thing he has not done is have ownership of a hockey team.
A
And if I'm
hockey team.
wrong, I know people will tell me. But Magic Johnson is who I would, as a young person, as taking your child or your friend's child to work. That's something that I would love to have
Wow, I learned something new about you every day.
done.
Awesome. I don't have in my mind.
Mhm.
When I was younger, of course, I definitely looked up to Oprah and well, Barbara Washers. She was my girl.
Right. Yeah.
60 Minutes. I just knew that I was going to work for.
Mhm. Mhm.
I was going to be work for 60
No,
Minutes.
I get it.
Um,
Yeah.
so I would say that, but in my mind, I feel like that's such a cliche answer. Because I do like things outside of broadcast. But I don't have. So I'm just going to go with Barbara Washers. Let's
Well,
go
because
with
you're
her.
a performer, so maybe it's maybe you would like to have gone to work with Angela Bassett to see what her day is like. You could have gone to
Especially,
work.
especially on the film of why did I get what's love got to do? Yeah.
Maybe you would have gone to work with, a famous person for who writes and produces for television or the
Man.
movies. But it is, it's a consideration. So, Yolanda, if we do have people who have, and maybe you have a suggestion for Aprylete. Oh, Michelle Lynn Summerall, I absolutely adore this. Oh, that you make my heart sing. She says Shirley Chisholm, the late great Congresswoman, the first
Yes,
African American to run for the presidency in the
man.
60s, was fierce, resilient, and brilliant. She was unbought and unbossed, right? Yeah, that's a good one, Michelle. You know how to hit my sweet spot of my heart with people like that. So absolutely, Karen Allen. I was waiting for this. An exotic dancer. Any particular exotic dancer? Somebody from P Valley, perhaps? Maybe you wanted to go to work with our own Coy Malone. I don't know, but an exotic dancer. Karen Lynn says on YouTube. That's
A,
very funny.
a day in the life.
A day in the life. Barbara
Barbara
Jordan. Yep,
Jordan.
Steve Walker. You got another good one. I never met Congresswoman Barbara Jordan, but I was raised as a big fan of hers. And I remember when she made the key address to the Democratic National Convention in 1976. And
Mm.
when we moved to Texas to do the Joyner Show, like that first or second year that we were doing that, Yolanda and Mary Boyce and I hopped in a car and we drove to Austin after her death because there was going to be a memorial service and we missed it because we
Mm.
had to wait for me to get off of work, off the Joyner Show that morning. And by the time we got to Austin, we had missed the service. But that's how directed we were
Mm-hmm.
towards Barbara Jordan, and what a force she was. Oh man,
Wow.
that's somebody whose life story I would love to do. And like they've done, Congresswoman Chisholm, but they've done a part of her story that as a part of those documentaries about women.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to do the full length
Let's
movie
put that
about
out
her.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We have others. Do we have other people that would? So the question, if you could go back to your childhood, and this is take your child to work day, who's the famous adult you would like to accompany to work? And Karen, you can give us that exotic dancer if you want to. If there's a particular name you want to give us, we will accept that. Deanna C on YouTube, Bishop Jacqueline McCullough. That's a good one. I'd like to do that with Bishop Vashti McKenzie. I'm a big fan of hers, but I don't know if you can't cuss with them. I don't know, and I wouldn't have as a child, but I do know some ministers who do.
That,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. They don't take the Lord's name in vain, but they will cuss.
They will cuss you
They
out.
will cuss. They will cuss. They will cuss us sister out. So, so that's a good one. Karen Vaughn on YouTube. I would love to spend a day on the job with Tyler Perry. You should. If you can ever get that opportunity, I highly recommend it. I've been in his presence on his lot. And that is, we went to the opening as well as to have a meeting with Tyler. And that is an incredible experience. What he has created there is Disneyland for people in entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
It's phenomenal what he has done. And if you think about from whence he came to where he is today,
Yeah.
and opening up his studio to allow to hire Black folks
Yeah.
and create communities right there for
Beautiful.
them. It is just incredible. Absolutely. I highly recommend, if you can do that, absolutely go for it. As an adult, say, I know it's take a child to work day, but can you take this adult to work?
Right. And then take my inner child to work,
Right.
We all have inner children in us, okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely. What else do we have, Yolanda? Manuel Murphy, give me Muhammad Ali, Manuel says on Facebook.
Well, you better duck. You better duck.
You know what? I would love that too. And I'll tell you, at one point in his career, when he wasn't the fly jock, Tom Joyner was a part of the group that worked with Muhammad Ali.
Oh wow!
And or as Howard Cosell said, the hangers on. And Tom was friends with the champ and worked with them as he was preparing for a fight, and that's part of his love for boxing still today. But that was really good. But Muhammad Ali, that would be a good one. Did you ever see A Night in Miami, Manuel? Because that was an interesting look at his life. But the George Foreman movie, which I think is coming out this weekend, is a really good movie, from what I understand. And our producer, Ahmed Gordon, has told us that he was working with them, and he said it's really good. I can't wait.
Are you going to go see it?
I would love to see it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. I've seen Creed 3, and I thought that was great. Oh, Darnell Walton on YouTube, Luther Vandross, learning how to write and produce music. Yes,
that's a good one.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Good old
and those are, and Patti LaBelle is another one who I would love to follow. But I know this, I got a lot. But Patti, is such a godmother to people in this business. But Luther is a good one, and especially because Luther's past not only involves his, working his way, but as a background singer, that is an incredible journey unto itself.
Absolutely.
And all of the relationships that he had with people in the business. I think he was a background singer for Barry Manilow, if I'm not mistaken. And I know that he was with a number of people, but that's a great learning experience. There's a really good documentary called 20 Feet from Stardom about background singers.
Oh,
and
really?
If you ever come across that, it's really good. Yeah, but that's a great one. Renita Bland, our friend on Facebook, and I would love to go to work with Tom and Sybil. Y'all got to meet everybody, civil rights leaders, President Obama, all the entertainers. Yes, you're absolutely right. And it was great to take this loudmouth child to work with Tom Joyner every day. I really appreciate it. Yeah, that was a great experience. Going to the White House and meeting the first elected Black man of South Africa, and to go to South Africa and to meet Bishop Tutu, Archbishop Tutu, and other people, the Zulu King Buthelezi. That was a great time. And then, of course, with President Obama, Mrs. Obama going to the White House Christmas parties, those were the bomb. And taking a selfie with the first Black woman who was the Attorney General of the United States. That was the highlight. That was really, she came into the studio, and it was really cool. And her people said, "Go ahead, take a picture." And so we took a selfie together.
Okay, that's nice. Do you still have the picture?
I think I have it in my phone somewhere.
You better.
Yeah, okay. yeah. I think I still have it in my phone. So that's really cool. Sheila, yes. Those are two good ones, Janae Brown on YouTube. She said that and Gladys Knight. Yeah, absolutely. Sheila Johnson and Gladys Knight. Sheila Johnson fascinates me. And that's another one. I'm not a business person, but the way these people have put their business lives together and what they're doing with it, she has an incredible resort. I've never been to it, but it's called, I think it's the Salamander.
Oh wow!
In Virginia, and from the outside looking in, it looks incredible. And that's someplace I'd like to go when I start making money again. To be able you could go and do that and to spend a weekend at that resort
At the
and what
resort.
she has done. Yeah. And Gladys Knight, you couldn't have a better person to go to work with because she is just, they call her the Empress of Soul, but she is, if Aretha was the queen, I guess we would call, I would call Miss Knight the queen in waiting.
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
absolutely.
because she is just such an incredible and she's so genuine and just a lovely
Gladys,
human being.
Aretha,
Yeah,
Patty, all of them.
yeah,
Let's just,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. Janice Eatman on Facebook said, Sybil, my sister, Dr. Brenda, published a book about Barbara Jordan that's being read in universities around the country. Okay,
Awesome.
so Dr. Brenda, a Medill grad, all right, Northwestern, woohoo, published a book about Barbara Jordan that's being, and is, what's the title, Janice? Would you give me that? And Dr. Brenda, is that her last name? But I would love to read that and
Awesome.
talk to her about that. Thank you for that, Janice. So send us the name of the book if you would, and Yolanda, if you'll make a note of that. Okay. We are coming to the end of this. If anybody has any last minute or any things that any people, famous people that they'd like to be a kid and go to work with, I would love to hear your story, or at least hear your suggestion would be for that. Charlotte Bowen Bellamy, Aretha, her voice and skills of music and the way she did business. There's some stories that I have heard about the Queen. And
that she don't play.
She don't play, and wanted that cash and would put it in her wallet.
In her pocketbook.
Yes. If your breasts are your pocketbook, yes. Janice said, Grace Under Fire by Dr. Brenda Eatman Agahoa. Grace Under Fire. I'm going to write that down. Look for it. That was also a pretty good TV show for a minute. It had nothing to do with Barbara Jordan. Okay. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. So do you think, have you thought of anybody yet? Aprylete, we've given you a lot to go on.
No, there was a lot. No, still haven't. I'm so sorry.
So you mentioned Oprah.
I mentioned really Barbara. I mentioned Oprah and Barbara Walters, but now that I'm in the business, it's not as glamorous as I thought it was when I was a child.
Certainly.
So I want to really change my answer, to be honest. And I really just don't know. So yeah, the business is totally different than what my mind imagined it to be.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, all those things that you have in your mind about the glamorous life and all of that, you know, people are like, oh, we want to come and hang out and watch the Joyner show, and you know, people will get there. So this is it, huh?
This is it.
This is the glamour. This is, you know, this is why we get up at 3:00 in the morning. And, you know, and they're like, well, where's Jay? He's 2,000 miles away in California. You know, it's like, and probably sleeping right now when we're off the air. So. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, Yolanda, if we have any last minute, then we'll move on to trending. We can do that. Okay. So let us, the news was really jumping this morning in terms of things that happened. Jerry Springer died. Were you a fan of the Jerry Springer show?
I was born in the 90s, and Jerry was, you know, the GOAT of the 90s. So yes, I wouldn't say I was a fan of his show. However, that was just the era, you know? Yeah. So the Jerry Springer show was wild, and it opened up the gates for so many talk shows after that to have that kind of like, you know, tussle and bustle.
Yeah, that whole reality TV.
Yeah, that he opened up the floodgates for that. So yeah, that's so sad to hear that he passed away.
And we had him on the show a number of times, and he was never impressed with himself. And he was always very cynical about the show and what it did. You know, the baby daddies and all that kind of stuff. And but he had an incredible career starting out in politics. You know, he lost his job as mayor of Cincinnati, I think because he wrote a check for a hooker
Wow.
which is really not a smart thing to do. But I guess back then, you didn't have the cash, and how were you going to pay her for her services? So he wrote a check, and he lost his job as mayor of Cincinnati, and then went
Wow.
on to become this ignominious TV host,
Yeah.
the Jerry Springer Show, where violence and I guess the
Before
first
it was
time,
violence, I think it was something kind of like mirrored of other television shows, and it wasn't working. And
yeah,
then they turned it up a notch,
yeah, they
and then it became
realized
popular.
that they wanted the younger viewers, and the younger viewers liked a lot of action
Yeah.
and rustle and tussle and all that kind of stuff. And
Mhm.
so that's where they flipped the script, and Jerry Springer went on to talk show,
Yeah.
Hall of Fame. And
Literally.
I would love to know if there's anybody watching, if any of you ever appeared on Jerry Springer, or if you know who people did. Jerry Springer died at the age of 79. He
Mm.
was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer just a few months ago, and his family
Wow.
announced that he died yesterday. So they will probably have his funeral like tomorrow,
Yeah.
because it happens very quickly in the Jewish community. So,
Mm.
but he was really, he was really quite something. He was very
Yeah.
charming, and I remember where he broke down and dismantled a really popular 10 o'clock news program in Chicago,
Mm.
because he was hired to give commentary, and the two news anchors, Carol Maureen and Ron Majors, quit because they
What?
said the association with Jerry Springer was an assault on what they were doing as news
As
people.
journalists.
Yeah,
Wow. And they
yep,
quit?
they quit.
Wow.
They quit,
Dang.
and he, ultimately was fired, or kicked to the curb. And I guess he went back to Ohio and may have done it there.
Mm.
But he had quite a life.
Yeah, and that Jerry will forever live in my head. Jerry,
Jerry, Jerry.
Jerry, Jerry.
Right, right.
Wow.
So that started the news coming down today, and then came the word that Carolyn Bryant Donham has died at the age of
Mm.
88.
See, I did not hear that. I didn't hear much because I've been under a rock today trying to from what happened?
So Carolyn Bryant Donham is the woman who accused Emmett Till of what
She died today.
she died today at the age of 88. Her death was confirmed by a Louisiana coroner's office. She said she had been under hospice care while suffering from cancer.
Yeah.
It was 1955 that Emmett Till went to Money, Mississippi to visit his mom. If you saw the movie or you know the
Mhm.
story,
Yeah, know the story.
um, his mom put him on a train to go visit relatives in
Mhm.
Mississippi, and it was as if she had a premonition. But she, told him how to act and to be
Yeah.
small, and when it came to white folks in 1955 Mississippi, well, she alleged, uh, though it was
He
never
whistled at her.
proven, that he touched her and that he made an aggressive move towards her.
Mhm.
Um, and she told her husband and his half brother and a group of men went in the cover under the cover of darkness and removed Emmett Till from his relative's home. They hung him and then they drowned him.
Yep.
This is a part of civil rights lore,
Yep.
because when Mamie Till Mobley went to recover her son's body, and they showed her the body, and they were preparing it for the funeral, and she said, "My son will have an open casket because I want the world to see
What they did.
what they did."
Yep.
And that was the catalyst that kicked off the civil rights movement, many say. So this allegation against Emmett Till, which was never proven, prompted her husband and brother-in-law to kidnap him, beat him, and shoot him in the head. His body was found, and he had been brutalized so badly that it was unrecognizable, as I said. They were put on trial, and the jury acquitted them, the husband and her brother-in-law, although many years later they confessed to the crimes, but it was said to be too late.
Too late.
And she was never charged in the murder, but this was announced not too long ago that an unserved warrant for her arrest back in 1955 was found just last year in the basement of an old courthouse. And a grand jury
Wow.
declined to indict her for the slaying. She was an old white woman, and they said there
Mhm.
was no purpose to this. But if you have not seen the movie Till, can I really recommend that? And I know we don't need the approval and we don't need the accolades of the white industry, but this movie was really not given its due when it came to the Academy Awards and Golden Globes and all of that. This young woman, Danielle Deadweiler, who plays Mamie Till Mobley, was phenomenal. The young boy that played Emmett Till was phenomenal. This was Whoopi Goldberg's production. She played Mamie's mother. So you can probably find it streaming now. It's called Till, just like the last name. Go see it. It is, and I have friends, older friends, who say I can't watch it.
Yeah.
And I get it, but you got to see this movie. It is just so. I'm gonna go watch it again.
So it was a really good production. It was done well.
So well done. Yeah. And maybe it was just me, but I loved it, and I could watch it again. All right. So, have you seen it, Aprylete?
No, I haven't seen the movie, but I wanted to say the woman that just died, who was the accuser, wasn't she in hiding for a minute?
Yeah, they were looking for her because they wanted to serve her. Yeah.
I got some words, but it's just like her little butt was in hiding for a long.
The whole Mississippi thing, and then she went to live with family in North Carolina, and now they recently said that she died while in hospice care.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And they were looking for her. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Big night tonight. Round 1 of the NFL draft kicks off. I don't know if this is any interest to you, coming from a town that no longer has a professional football
right?
team.
Because they want to jump ship. You had
them, and then you didn't have them. They came back, and I know.
Yeah.
Anxious college players as their futures are on the line and in the hands of NFL teams, but. Any moment now are going to start with the draft, and it'll only show round 1 tonight and rounds 2 and 3 on Friday, and it'll conclude over the weekend. But this is great as one veteran is secure for life, or he should be. If I was counting his money, he would be secure for life. And that superstar quarterback, Lamar Jackson, agreed to a 5-year, $260 million deal to remain with the Baltimore Ravens.
Baby, I will be sitting right put. I will be sitting right put for my 5 years.
Oh no, you don't want to make a step. Let me make a way for you. What can I get you? He's the highest paid player in NFL history, and he revealed back in March that he had requested a trade out of Baltimore after the team placed a non-exclusive franchise tag on the former first-round pick. And at the time, he claimed the Ravens were not interested in meeting my value. Well, apparently that's no longer the case.
Okay.
Because historically, until the rest of these guys, because we've had a number of players that have been historically, Jalen Hurts from Philadelphia. He was the highest paid, and the quarterback, and now this quarterback, Lamar Jackson, is the highest paid. As long as it's not Aaron Rodgers, I'm good. The monster deal includes, and this is the great thing, $260 million, but $185 in total guaranteed money. According to the reports that came out today. That's a lot. That is a heck of a lotto payoff.
So he's staying right put, like I said.
Yeah, he's staying in Be More. Yep. And gonna be more than rich.
Yeah. That's a good one. And gonna be more than rich.
That's right. Than the rest of these guys. Yeah. AP are you a football fan?
I'm not. I mean, like, again, I'm a game girl. So taking me to a game, you would think that I'm like, I don't know all the nuances.
Really cute. Good for you.
Yeah, I'm
tell
a game
people
girl.
What you're wearing today.
Oh, so today I have on. It says Caw, which is our Battle Hawks for St. Louis, Missouri football. So I love apparel. I love a game. I love the experience. So that's about as far as I know. So I don't know a lot of players and things and all the nuances, but at the game.
You are, because you went to, I think you told us when you moved to Dallas, you and your mom.
Oh, I had me and my sister, we went to a Cowboys game. That was the first thing I did. I've been to many Mavericks games. I love basketball. I do enjoy basketball. So yeah, I'm a game girl.
You're a game girl. Yes, you are. Okay. All right. I guess I think we could match. I have as many radio T-shirts as probably you have sporting T-shirts.
Literally.
Yeah. This is about the former president, Mike Pence. Despite what he didn't want to do, He testified for more than 5 hours today before a federal grand jury. The grand jury is investigating efforts by then President Donald Trump and his allies to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election, January 6, 2021. The testimony marks a momentous time in the criminal investigation and the first time in modern history a vice president has been compelled to testify about a president he served beside. Pence testified for, I think I said this, for more than 5 hours. But this is a big deal. And Donald Trump, went to court to try to stop this testimony. And they said he was going to go to the Supreme Court, but didn't make it in time. So, sorry.
and we shall see.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Last month, it was reported that the California floods could drive up food prices in the U.S. And you may see this in your grocery stores, especially the prices of food, fruits, vegetables, also chicken and livestock, beef. And pork, I presume, as a result of the flooding of a lot of the farmlands in California. Not only do they have a lot of rain, they had a lot of snow. Well, now the snow is all melting and it's, flowing down into all of these farmlands. Another round of floods leading to more damage. And experts are worrying that food prices could rise in the coming weeks due to the affected produce and livestock. The flooded fields have led to a delay in the planting of some crops. Some people say that the planting of lettuce is a wash, if you will. And the longer you delay planting, the longer you have to wait for these crops in grocery stores. So there's going to be a delay. And when you finally get them, you're going to be paying a high price for them. The excessive rains have also affected the livestock and the dairy farms. And California is the leading agricultural state in the United States, and also America's largest agricultural exporter and the country's only exporter of several products, including almonds, artichokes, dates, garlic, and much more amid the flooded farm fields. And it's not only going to be California, because I don't know if you've seen the stories of the flooding along the Mississippi River. A lot of farms are affected by this as well. If you thought inflation was bad before.
No, and this is going to be terrible. I'm like, if it ain't one thing, it's another. And how can I start growing my food? I'm thinking,
so
I need me a little garden.
You might want a balcony garden.
No, literally. And I was actually thinking about that because when I was cooking, and I'm just like, I really want to start growing at least some of the produce. So that's been a thing of mine that I want to get into. But this right here just put some fire underneath my butt. Because we're so reliant on our products from the grocery store. So check out what's really going to be affected. I talked about lettuce and the almonds and all that, and I love good almonds. The prices of tomatoes is going up.
Yeah, they said what's all that's grown in the San Joaquin Valley and Sacramento Valley, that's going to cut the supply, and that's going to impact prices of tomato sauce over the next year because of the, they say that 99% of all tomatoes for processed and canned goods, and thus the cost of pasta and pizza sauces could be affected. And agricultural experts have said that this is going to affect the price of tomato sauce. So when you go to Olive Garden, when you go
they're going to mark up them meals.
When you go you order a pizza, or you get a pizza, frozen pizza. They're probably already jacking up the prices on some of those things, knowing what's going to happen. And I also mentioned their forewarning about lettuce prices. So let's move to entertainment. This happened this week. Speaking of journalism, where will our friend journalist Don Lemon wind up after his recent firing by CNN? Don lost a good, high-paying job after 17 years at the cable news outlet. Well, Rick Ross shouted out Don Lemon with a job offer. He said, "We're hiring at Wingstop, bro," and suggesting that Don can be the face also of the new flavor of his energy drink line, Rap Star.
Oh, wow.
Rick Rose said he can personally make sure Don gets an interview in front of his top chicken team members. And the only thing he's asking the ex-anchor to do is send a resume. I don't know if Don has to do that anymore. He was at a Time Magazine event, a gala the other night, and he said that he's good. and that he's going to have the summer of a 12-year-old laying
Oh,
on
I
the
love
beach
that.
with his fiance, Tim Malone. And Don, I just got one thing to say. We're tired of hearing about your fiance. If you got the time and you don't have a job to
Come
go
on.
to every day, just go get married.
There you go. Come on.
Just and bless Tim's heart, because every time you do you remember my fiance Tim? And I'm like, dude,
Marry, just go ahead and marry the man. Come on.
husband him up. Come on,
Come on, go ahead and marry the man, child.
go
But he
ahead.
said he's good. He said that everybody's worried about him and he's totally fine.
He is so good. He said he's going to have the summer of. I would love that.
Yeah.
He said
And it's probably necessary after 17 years at CNN and working. Like, just go ahead, take your break, relax, kick your feet
don't
up.
wake up to not have an alarm clock. None of that. Good for you. I relish that, and I wish that for you, Don. And I hope that you find peace and energy and come back and go work for News Nation or whoever is going to hire you, and just be a happy man that you deserve.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's close out with our jewel.
What's the jewel?
Young Aprylete, our inspiration for the day. Remaining calm is the best antidote to stress and anxiety.
I love that.
So let's breathe in. Ooh, sigh.
And breathe
That's
out.
the best antidote to stress and anxiety. I hope that you remain calm, Aprylete, for the remainder of the day, the week, the weekend.
Yeah.
And to you too, my friend Don Lemon. All right, everyone, remain calm, stress-free, and we will see you soon. Take care.